Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? So today we are going to discuss what is the role of QA in sprint planning. So this is one of the popular interview question. So I will just share my screen. Okay. So we are going to discuss what is the role of QA during sprint planning or requirement discussions. And as QA, like what's your contribution when the agile ceremonies like sprint planning is going on? Okay, and you have to explain this using some examples or scenarios from your personal experience. Okay, so let's see what is our first point. So first thing is, do I understand the requirement? So requirements are getting discussed, and suppose if you don't understand the requirement clearly, then you have to ask questions, and we'll see like what are the questions we are going to ask. So like when the requirements are getting discussed, is this requirement is too vague or is it too generic? Or maybe there are some points which are getting missed out. So you have to see that. Like for example, let's say like our app should be like if the product owner is saying that okay, our app should support 5,000 users. That is a requirement. So then you have to think that okay, you have to ask question, right, whether these 5,000 users, all of them are going to use the app at the same time. Are they concurrent users, or only 10% or 5% of the users will be concurrent users? So maybe 10% of the users will be concurrent users. So 500 users will be using the app simultaneously. So when we say that okay, test app should support 5,000 users, so that may means that 5,000 users, like we should be able to create 5,000 users, and it should like database and other things should be able to resource should be able to scale up. But thing is whether they're using simultaneously or not. If they're using simultaneously or concurrently, then you have to design test such a way that you apply that load, you apply that concurrent load. So when so go through the requirements, see whether any points are missing. Is it too generic? Is it vague? Is there any like requirements are not that clear? Okay. Next thing is there any implicit requirement? So implicit requirements are like some requirements are obvious. Maybe it's not told explicitly that this will be requirement, but you have to check whether like you have to ask, you have to clarify whether this also should be implemented or not, because generally like people implement that kind of thing in other application, right? For example, if it is like a spreadsheet application, obviously you will have save option, whether it's documented or not, it's there in the requirement documents or not. I will see one more example. Let's say like for example you have a file manager application, and requirement says you should be able to delete file from a file manager application. That's it. So when you're deleting it, are we going to ask delete confirmation, like okay or no, like cancel, right? So maybe that is missed out, or maybe the person who wrote a requirement documentation, he thought it's like a obvious thing, or for some reason they just missed it out actually, right, from the documentation. So you have to ask like okay, we have seen in this other application also that it should ask for confirmation, maybe we should do that also. But sometimes people think it's obvious, they should implement it by default. And so whether do we have any such implicit requirements or not? So give examples from your personal project, personal testing project, and then like like you will be able to convince interviewer, you will be able to read it better. Next thing is, how can I test this? Okay, feature is ready, feature is getting implemented, but how can I test this? Can I test this feature? Is it even testable, right? For example, let's say it says that you upload a video, and once you upload a video, you get the compressed video, right? So you can capture only processing time. You upload it and you get the video, like you know that okay, you upload, after 5 minutes you got the processed video, you know the processing time. But recommend says okay, queuing time should be less than, like transcoding time should be less than maybe 10% of the queuing time. So when you are uploading, it's getting video is getting queued in the server, and once server is free, it's picking up and it's transcoding, it's compressing the file. But all these things are not visible to you from the UI interface, maybe, right? So you won't be able to test it. So you have to tell developer that, okay, I won't be able to test it from the UI. Maybe you should give some option. Maybe you should dump that information in the log file that, okay, total processing time is 5 minutes, but out of that 3 minutes it was queued, and 2 minutes it got 2 minutes it was getting transcoded, right? So that kind of information you should log it, or you give me the access to the internal system where I can log in, I can see what's going on inside the backend or inside the server, right? So I need that kind of access. So you have to see whether you are able to test it, test the feature or not, right? And then maybe they say, okay, you test with the credit card, but do you have test credit card or not, right? Or captcha, you want to they said automate it or test, like how will you automate, right? So you have to think that perspective, like how would I test it, how will I do manual testing, how will I do automation testing, do I need any help from the developer, right? If it is a captcha, maybe I want to automate, so I will say that, okay, if I say 999, it will like just bypass the captcha, or maybe you for test release you disable the captcha so that I can automate and test the whole flow, right? So you have to think in that perspective, right? And accordingly you have to raise questions. The next thing is, do I need any additional configuration or a test data to test this, right? So for example, maybe this application has to be tested in a low memory configuration, right? Or maybe in the old phone. So you have to ask, like, how do I get this configuration? You have to think through actually, right? Or maybe this application will support all kind of video playback. So you have to ask, like, what are the video data resolution, right? What type of codecs, like HEVC, AVC, or audio codec it will support, and do I have to generate that kind of test data? Can I generate those kind of test data? Do I have the tool to generate the test data? So you have to think through, and you have to raise relevant questions. Next one is, do I have any dependencies in order to test it? Maybe like I may, like you may need 3G network, but maybe you don't have 3G network. So you have to maybe purchase some SIM or something. Maybe you need some tool you have to purchase, right? And then you may need to buy some hardware, or maybe you need to load 10,000 like valid user details. So you need like something, right? You may need something. So you need to figure out what are the dependencies you have. Then next question will be like, what are the platforms should I cover? Do I need to test old phone Android 5.1? Do I need a backward compatibility? What kind of browser should I support, right? Do I need to test on Linux, Firefox, or do I need to test on Mac operating system, Safari browser, or do I need to test on Opera browser, or what are the different browser versions it should support, like Safari, some XYZ version, or what are the different kind of like operating systems should I support, right? So you have to ask what are the platforms, environments you are like you have to support. So that should be also part of the requirement, right? A requirement may not say explicitly that we are going to support this, so that should also come up in the requirement. So you have to ask those questions if it is not explicitly said that, okay, we are going to support Android phone, this version, that version, right? So if it is not documented or it's not said, then you have to raise those questions as a tester or QA. Then finally, you have to see whether this feature is beneficial to the user, or the way it's implemented is going to be beneficial to the user. Maybe user has to click multiple clicks or multiple operation to do some simple activity, or whether user design is good or not, right? Maybe they said like you have checkbox, but you feel instead of the checkbox, you may have the Dropbox will serve the purpose better. Or maybe instead of the Dropbox, checkboxes will serve the purpose better. So you have to think through whether whether the design is looking good. You have to see similar application, how they have designed, whether it's efficient one or not, right? And what are the possible scenarios can occur from the user perspective? Whether are we covering all the scenarios, right? Whether current feature or implementation will be covering all these scenarios. So more issues you identify at the requirement phase, it's better actually, right? Otherwise it's costly, like if we finally identify the issues at the later stage, right? So we need to try to identify issues at the initial stage, so that design is robust, requirements are well captured, well documented, right? So these are things tester will do. Okay. So just let's have a quick review. Like first is, do I understand the requirement? And then whether requirement is it too vague, is it too generic, right? Clarify it, ask questions, right? Then second, then next one is whether is there any implicit requirements. Then how do I test it? Can I test this feature at all? Is it testable? Then do I need any additional configuration or test data? Then do I have any dependencies in order to test this? Right? What are different platforms I'm going to test? Do I have any dependencies in order to test this thing? Right? Do I need any additional configuration test data? So the other things, okay. Whether it's beneficial to the user, what are the possible scenarios could occur from a user point of view? Okay, so that's it. And if you like the video, please like it, and please share it, and subscribe the channel. And there is a link below for the Telegram group. So please join the Telegram group, and I will share more such insights in the Telegram group. So until we meet again, this is Abhijit signing off.